Good morning and welcome to the Big Agent Meeting. My name is Russ Laggan. I am your host today for Big Agent Meeting, and today we have one heck of a show lined up for you. I can't wait to introduce you to some of these people coming up. Look at this. Vice President of Operations, Holly Mabery, is going to be having a conversation with Loran Coleman and myself talking about what's going on in the industry, some new stuff that they're bringing out to you guys to help you in this market that's going on right now and the things that are happening with NAR. And you're going to love that part of the session today. And then we're going to go to Bryon Ellington, Chief Learning Officer, who's going to have a conversation with one of the most amazing humans in the world, Knolly Williams. If you guys don't know Knolly, you need to know Knolly. You need some Knolly in your life. Amazing guy with amazing stuff. And by the way, he's going to give you guys some stuff that you couldn't put in your business right now, which is really super awesome stuff coming up. So there is the layout for our show today. We're going to kick it right off and go right into VP of Operations, Holly Mabery, VP of Operations, Loran Coleman, two of the most amazing ladies in this business. And we're going to talk about what's going on now. So come on forward, ladies.
Hey, what's up, Russ?
Welcome.
Hey, Russ.
Good to see you guys again. I know you've got some good stuff if you're here today.
Absolutely. We are so stoked. Guys, we have been working hard in the lab for you. And, you know, we've been talking a lot about NAR. We've been talking a lot about changes in the industry and what we're going to see coming later this summer. But we wanted to let you know and hear it first right here on the Big Agent Meeting. And Loran, shall we jump right into it?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So check this out. We have the Buyer Broker 2.0 and hopefully, yeah. So here we go. We wanted to deliver this to you. Now let's talk about why the Buyer Broker. Okay, cool. When we start to look at what is the reasoning behind this, really, when we looked across the landscape of everything that's happening, we wanted to make sure that you were the best prepared in the industry to be able to have conversations with our clients with the changes that are occurring. We know that buyer broker commission will not be offered in the multiple listing as of mid-August, right? Like that fee is coming out of the MLS. So how are you going to get paid? We want to make sure that you're business ready and you're having these conversations with your client in advance. So we've designed this form specifically for you. Now, I know a lot of associations have these forms. Totally understand that. Most states do, most local associations, that's okay. What we found in our research is many of them were lacking in full transparency to a client. Also, they were really not up to speed yet on what is coming. And so we wanted to make sure you were the most battle ready to take care of the consumer as to what's coming next. So we've designed these forms to be very consumer centric, very easy to understand, to create that conversation, an easy flow as you're working with folks. And also, we are the most quickly to adapt. If you give us feedback on something, we're able to go back to the lab, retool it with our attorneys, and get it out to you within weeks and days, not months. And that's really important to us.
Yep.
And we also just want to be clear on what constitutes a buyer broker, right? Because we know it's more than just about opening a door when it comes to earning a commission, right? When it comes to even identifying the potential homes that fit within that buyer's criteria and their ability to pay, because it's not just being willing, but also being a willing and able buyer, right? Arranging those showings, negotiating with buyers and presenting offers and performing other services. And, you know, we like to joke about the agent's duty of being a family counselor and a marriage counselor and all those different things. And we're going to dig into it a little deeper when it comes to constituting a buyer broker and earning that commission, but we just want to make sure it's clear it's not just about opening doors when it comes to these changes. And also when it comes to the single property buyer broker agreement, you guys already know that is available in SkySlope. That was one of the first forms that we rolled out. Now, and the reason we're bringing it up again as well, just like how Holly had mentioned earlier, we made some tweaks to the form. Right. So just some small little tweaks. So you want to make sure that if you did access the form back when we first originally issued it out, and maybe you haven't gone back to get the May 29th version, you want to make sure you have that. We have the unique ability at EXP to pivot, because when it comes to these rules and everything that's going on in the industry, it's everything but stagnant, right? It's constantly moving. That target is moving as we get more information and more clarity on how to best operate and those best practices within the industry. We have the ability to pivot. Now, we do know that the local associations and MLSs, as they update their forms, we would hope and expect that they would also update their forms as those clarifications and changes occur, but we just have, again, that unique ability to pivot a lot quickly. So you want to make sure you're up to date on that.
No, on this form, what I found, and I want to give a shout out to Rita Talon. She actually said, hey, I carry this form with me every day now, because in case I'm out and I'm just previewing a property and the neighbor wants to see it, I have it at the ready. And I love that idea of real-time usage as people go forward. So with the Buyer Broker 2.0, this is like the next level step, right? You're showing more than one property. We wanted to be able to create that conversation and simplicity. So as you look at all of the different things on the right, basically the properties to review, how long we're working together, our agency disclosure, broker efforts, everything that we're going to do for you, that's all encompassed in this form. And we also wanted to give some freedom for you, knowing that every business, whether it's Rhode Island or Florida or Texas or Washington, everybody's unique in how you're getting to work. So additional terms we wanted to nuance with you. We wanted to give you that flexibility. It's really important to us. And we've been working with some different groups outside of the real estate industry that actually have big impact on consumers. We actually sent our forms to other brokerages, to Zillow. We've sent our forms to other people to give us feedback on how we can be one of the most consumer-centric brands, but also how we can better position you in the marketplace. And we're getting this feedback of, hey, these forms are really good. They're more consumer-centric.
Yeah.
They're more easy to understand. They're not written by attorneys. They're written by people for people in the transaction. And that was really important to us as we look at the Buyer Broker 2.0. So
and just to say too, just throwing in there too, when it comes to the agent centric, because you're probably wondering, like, why such a big focus on it being, consumer centric and consumer friendly. One of the big arguments when it comes to the antitrust lawsuits, the DOJ, the Consumer Federation of America, is that all of our documents are built to protect the broker and not the consumer. They're purposely difficult to read and all the legalese to deceive the public. So the purpose behind our forms being consumer friendly, is that it minimizes as much as possible a client's ability to come back and say, like, I didn't know what I was signing. It was all this information. I didn't understand it. It makes it easier for the agent to explain it as well. Yeah. And also, I just want to say too, when it comes to the agency disclosures, just like Holly said, these forms are created. The purpose of it is so that all of our agents throughout the United States can utilize them. But remember, your experts within your state are your brokers, right? So you want to make sure that you are communicating with your broker before you utilize any of the forms, to make sure that they're accompanied with any required state documents, so to make sure that you're compliant with law.
Absolutely. And I see some questions coming up in the chat. The form is live in SkySlope this morning, and it's the EXP Buyer Broker Agreement. So you will see it there. If you go into SkySlope Forms, you can download it under EXP Forms Library for your state, and it's state specific. So it's in there for you right now to be able to use. Now let's talk about getting paid. Right. This is the biggest thing. Like, I like food with my meals, and the only way that we get to do that is if we get paid, right? So it becomes really important. You've got to do more than just introduce the property, like Loran was saying earlier. But Loran, break this down. Like, what do we need to know?
Yeah, so it's more like you said, it's more just than introducing the property. It's providing those broker services that constitute earning that commission. And then we want to make sure, because we get a lot of questions when it comes to, the fees and what you can put in the agreement. It must be definitive, right? It can't be it can't be an unlimited range. It has to be a specific amount. So for an example, let's say you can break those fees down specifically. So let's say in the contract you state, the buyer's going to pay 3%. But let's say in the situation where I show a new construction property where they may tend to offer more, it's like for new construction properties, then my fee is 4%. Those are still specific definitive fees that are outlined in the agreement. So you can put those specifics there. And we've allowed for that in our agreement as well when it comes to the additional lines where you can write in those additional terms.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I want everybody to be aware of, because there's a lot of conversation right now, you may be seeing it in the headlines from RSI Media or Inman News with regard to steering. This is what we want you to know. We are going to show our clients the properties that fit their needs. Yep. Compensation will always be negotiated. If the buyer directs us to ask the seller to contribute, either through concession or pay directly, okay, great. But we're going to show the buyer all the properties in the range that best fit their needs.
Yep.
And that's really important to us. We wanted that in the contract with the buyer so they understand how we show up to them, for them, and how we take care of them through the process. So really important in all of this.
Yeah. And when it comes to communicating with your, whether you're having your buyer consultation or your listing consultation and communicating, it's your fiduciary duty and it as an agent to communicate to your potential clients every piece and every part that may affect them within the real estate transaction. So when you're meeting with the seller and you're communicating with them and providing them all the details when it comes to the transaction, stating, okay, buyers, they are going to be looking at, whether or not a listing is paying the buyer broker fee, because that affects their closing cost at the end of the day. It affects how much they have to bring to the table.
Yep.
It's not communicating that information to your seller. They need to know that information, because if they're not aware of it and then they get hit with it once they list the property, and it's just like, well, why didn't you tell me? I didn't know that I should have considered that. That's taking care of your client, not steering.
Good.
It's so important right now. The more communication we can have, the more control and transparency we can have in this process. I appreciate the opportunity to have these conversations with our clients, because this is the professionals market, and trusted advisors through every step of the process are going to make all the difference in the world. So Loran, let's break down some of the common questions that we continue to be asked, and we want to make sure that you all are as comfortable as possible, especially come August. We don't want you waiting for August 1st for a form to drop. We want you to have it in your hands and test drive it now, practice with it right now. Go ahead, Russ.
I'm going to kick off a simple one that's been popping in my head since the first slide. What if the local boards are like, you got to use our documents? Can we still use the EXP documents when the boards are, because some of these boards can be pretty pushy about what we are required to do and not required to do?
For sure.
Can we still use the EXP one?
Yes. So this is the key. When you look state to state, we do have some states, i.e. Colorado, Wisconsin, where there is by statute, we have to use certain forms. Okay, we're going to use their forms. Cool. But in most states, we can use any form that is certified by an attorney. Ours has been certified by an attorney. And so when you look at the contract, because it's between us as a company and the client, it's not necessarily doing anything but creating a better relationship and clarity. And that's what's so important to us, is to make sure that you can have the best conversation and win the client by being transparent and open and walking them through that process in such an easy manner that why would they choose anybody else? Mm-hmm. That's the key in all of this. So what is required? Right now, most states, like 18 states, require a buyer broker. We're going to see that change to all states come mid-August. And when do you have to have this signed? Now, this is the crazy part. I need you to have it signed before you open the door. Yeah. I really want you to have negotiated your fee before you open the door. Because if you open the door and then try to negotiate your fee, it's kind of, the train has left the station. Mm-hmm. You're a little bit behind the 8 ball. Now, I'm looking at my wonderful friends up in Washington right now. You, of course, by state law, have to have it signed no later than consummation of the contract, or you don't get paid. And that's state law. So as we kind of watch all these nuances state to state, we're really passionate about taking care of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when it comes to, can I use association forms? Yes, you absolutely can. So even though we're issuing out these forms, we're not saying now this is a new EXP policy that you must use our forms. No, you can utilize the association forms just like with those forms, you can utilize ours. Can I write my own? I would not. So and also and honestly, yes, even when it comes to right. Even if you have an attorney writing up forms, certain, again, state laws. So like in my state, for instance, when it comes to forms that agents use, if it's not a form from the association or from the brokerage, it has to at least still be approved by an attorney from the brokerage. So I'm going to say no, right? Of course, there can be some exceptions, but we don't approve agent forms either. So I'm just going to say no. You don't want to write your own. You want to protect. These forms have been created, even the MLS and the association forms, of course, the ones from EXP, created by attorneys, a lot of thought put into it to limit our liability as much as possible. How long can we make the agreement? Yeah. How long can we make the agreement? it depends on your market. In some markets, an agreement longer than a month is like, what? That's crazy. In other markets, especially markets that are accustomed to having buyer agency agreements, you see agreements that are 3 months, 6 months long, so it really just depends on a common practice in your market.
And this is the thing, we are starting to see states pass legislation that limit how long your buyer broker can be. California, for instance, it's 60 days. So be very, very smart in how you want to work with somebody and what that means, because it's not necessarily enforceable the longer you go. Just putting that out there. Now, Section 7 on our buyer broker is blank lines, affectionately deemed additional terms. So what would you put in there? Well, you could put in there if it's you're showing new construction and a bonus that is, let's say they're giving a $5,000 bonus. Great. You would put that in there. If you are going to, you'd be willing to go down if the seller only contributes a certain amount to the buyer's closing. Okay, you could put that in there. If you are only going to show properties in this zip code, but you have 3 homes in another, great. You can put that in there. We wanted to design this really for your flex and use. The other question that we get a lot is, hey, if my buyer broker expires, do I create a new one? Do I just extend it? What does this look like? Best practice right now is going to be writing a new buyer broker. It's that consecutive, keep going kind of thing, just like a listing agreement. Could we see like an extension addendum? Absolutely. We're going to test here in the next 90 days, see what makes sense. And then based on your feedback, we'll adjust and provide you what you need.
Yep. And can I amend my commission and how? Yes, you can. And so we know the spirit of this new rule is that, yes, you can. If you want to amend it, you can amend it down. Now, of course, we know contract law, technically, as long as 2 parties agree, you can amend a contract to go up, right? By either, drawing a line and and writing it in and having all parties initial, or use an actual amendment to the contract. Thing is, I want you to think through that conversation though, right? So, let's say you're working with the buyer and then you agree to a 3%, but then the seller is offering 4%. And so you're like, hey, I want to amend it to that 4%. Well, you've already had your buyer consultation with that buyer. So they're savvy, they're knowledgeable of the process. What if they're like, oh, you want to amend the buyer broker agreement so that you can get the 4%, but we have this 3% agreement. That 1%, what if I want to ask for that in closing costs? Like, we know that seller's willing to pay an extra 1%. I want to ask for it in closing costs. You do owe your buyer fiduciary duty. That's a big thing about steering and all these other little allegations, is that we're not putting our commission before our clients. We're not putting our commission before what's best for the public and who we are serving. So you can have that conversation, but you don't want to mess up that line of trust that you've established with that client, because we know all day, trust is huge when it comes to clients. That's what keeps them there. That keeps them from having wandering eyes and trying to go with another agent, and you don't want to mess that up. So do you have the ability? Technically, legally, yes, but think through that conversation.
And I think a couple of keys, because I know that we've got such a packed agenda, we want to get to these. NAR is saying one shot. Actually, Julie, they're not. They are actually saying that you can amend it to go up, just as you can amend it to go down, because it's a personal services contract. So always have it in writing. Retainer fees, they have to be made out to the company. And if you look at a retainer fee, I would suggest it's non-refundable, because if it's refundable, the company has to hold it. And if that buyer chooses not to buy with you, we would then refund it. We don't want to be taking money back from you. It's a little bit cumbersome. Get with your state broker. They'll walk you through it. Now, I know Lauren's talked about builders. Guys, we are going to be rolling out training over the course of the next 60 days. Starting this next week, we have a very detailed class that all of your brokers have been trained on, and they will be rolling out state to state. So be watching your state newsletters, be watching your state workplace pages, because we want to make sure you are so comfortable. There are no questions asked. You can easily slide in and take care of your clients at the highest level. If you have questions, please reach out to Lauren and I. Please reach out to your state brokers or your state directors. We're here for you. And it's in Sky Slope live today, guys.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. You guys leading the charge on doing it right the first time. Get it right. And we're going to make adjustments as we need to. So good. Love that. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate you both.
Bye.
There you go. best stuff in the market right now, leading edge. This is blazing the trail right now. So let's jump in with Bryon Ellington. Bryon, jump right on in here, brother. Come on down, Chief Learning Officer. Hey, I got Bryon here for a second. What's going on?
Good morning, Russ.
Hey, quick question. What was the deal with Instagram Live yesterday with Carrie Sove?
Oh, dude, that was awesome. Yeah, so she got on and was just kind of dropping gems for us as she does. So we have her program with EXP Elevate Coaching starting next Thursday. And so she got on Instagram Live and was kind of giving some freebies to get people excited about it. And as usual, she dazzled. So yeah, that was awesome. If you go to expelevatecoaching.com, you can look at her leveraging AI session. If you don't know Carrie, she's the queen of all things AI, and she's been teaching me AI too in the background. I love it, dude. She's an amazing resource. She was on BAM last week. If you missed that,
that's fantastic. Yeah, by the way, I keep hearing this. The buzzword of the week is fast cap, fast cap, fast cap. Like, what's the deal with that, man? Is that still open? Is that closed? What's going on with that?
Is going to kill me. So we're doing a pilot starting June 17th. We're piloting Fast Cap, and this is going to be a 6-week program, and it's 18 sessions over the 6 weeks. It's a productivity program, right? Not a training, not an education program, but a productivity program. And by that, what I mean is not only we're going to give you all the business operational systems that you need to start your business and make sure you understand how to do things like a listing presentation, a buyer consultation, and all of the above, but we're going to get you into action, right? It's not a knowledge transfer. I don't care what you know. I care what you can do with it to build your business. And so over the course of those 6 weeks, it's going to be a hardcore, intensive program, getting people up and running. We modeled this by going out and doing case studies of all of these agents who had done at least 2 deals in their first 6 months and at least 12 deals in their first year in the business. I mean, these are people who literally were fast capping agents. And so the pilot is closed. The pilot registration is closed. But we're going to start dropping some jewels from some of those interviews that we did. We recorded those, and so we'll start leaking those out. So if you didn't get in the pilot, you'll get to see at least a little bit, but we'll keep you up to date on the pilot as we go. Hey, speaking of the university, can I just drop, before we bring Knolly on, a few things coming out of the university? Well, first, it's been out for about a couple of months now, winning buyers. So as part of this whole NAR settlement, Holly, Lauren, a bunch of us got together and we just made this winning buyers. Go to expuniversity.com, get into that program. And we also have a playlist from BAM. We've been doing this kind of adventure together over the past several months, bringing great people on to talk about these changes and talk about how to adapt your business, the strategies you need to be employing. But that's captured in winning buyers. So do check that out. Also, team leaders. Hey, Russ, let me ask you this question. Do you agree with the statement that the level of success of your business is going to be completely dependent upon the level of talent that you hire to your business?
Oh, absolutely. If you want to grow fast, the better talent, right? And it starts with the leader.
That's right. Right. But when you ask that of a business person, most people are going to say yes. And then you ask, well, then tell me your defined, proven process for hiring talent to your business, hiring and onboarding. And most people are going to stare at the ground, maybe talk about the firmness of a handshake, the shine of a shoe. Right. Exactly. So on June 19th, team leaders, we, as part of our Team Mastery Call series, our next call is on hiring and onboarding to your team. We have Dave Kennord and James Ellis, who are going to come on and share their hiring practices. And then we'll put you into breakouts, let you mastermind with other team leaders to talk about your hiring practices, their hiring practices. So you can, like I always say from Pablo Picasso, good artists borrow, great artists steal. Come steal their process. And by the way, team leaders, it's a free call. You should have an email in your inbox this morning with the registration link for that. And so then
two things with that real quick. So if you are on a team right now, tell your team leader to get on that. Because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not a team lead, but you can tell your team lead, make sure you're on that. And by the way, Dave Kennord is a little bit questionable in his hiring practices because he hired me. So
well, I'll forgive him that one mistake. You know, everybody has their challenges. I think you did all right, Russ. I think you did all right. Yeah. And then one last thing, and then I want to get to Knolly. So July 2nd, we're starting the next round of Kickstart. So if you didn't get into the Fast Cap pilot, no worries, get into Kickstart. Go to expuniversity.com, sign up for that. July 2nd, that's going to kick off. All right, cool. So Russ, we've been on this little adventure together, and we've been talking about how we make adjustments on the buy side of the business.
Yep.
But the game still hasn't changed on the list side. The name of the game is list to last. It always has been. It always will be. You want to control your commission. You want to control the inventory. You want to have a marketable product. Become a listing agent. Period. And so I have a friend of mine who I've known for, 15 years, 16 years, Knolly Williams, who I asked to come on today and help us take more listings.
All right, take it away. I'll get out of your way so you can talk to Knolly, one of the best people in the world.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
What's up,
Knolly, how you doing,
Russ?
man?
What's up, Bryon? Good to see you.
Not much, man. Thanks for being on, man. We really appreciate it. So if you don't know Knolly, first of all, what rock have you been hiding under? Secondly, Knolly and I have known each other for a long time. And how I know Knolly is as a listing agent. Knolly, 10 years, 10 listings a month, you've taken, straight. So can you share a little bit about your background? Like, how did you get into real estate and how did you get to be such a great listing agent?
So, and thank you for that, Bryon. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. And, I got into real estate after a failed career in the music business. Now that business was doing very well, but when the music industry shifted, I didn't know how to shift with it. It went digital. And I went from making $150,000 a month in my 20s to being broke and in foreclosure. And so when I was in my 30s, I looked at real estate as sort of the answer where I could make the kind of money that I was used to making. And so I did a lot of research on how do I break into the real estate game. And I did. So I got my license in 2003 and I started with listings from day one, from the beginning.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. By my 4th year in the business, and that's more or less when you and I met, I became the #1 real estate agent in Austin, Texas. I did 96 transactions as a solo agent. And that's when Gary Keller's office called me that Gary wanted to meet with me. And so I think you and I met right after Gary recruited me to Keller Williams. And I was in my 5th year in the business at that time. And so it has been 15 years since, because I've been in the game for 20 years. But I knew from the beginning, Bryon, that listings were the way to go, even though I don't have the aptitude of a listing agent, on paper. But I knew that that's where I needed to focus. And so that's what I went after.
Well, my friend, you can tear up that piece of paper. I don't know what it says, but it lied to you. So when we talk about listings, you'd shared that you kind of think of it, the 3 major buckets. Can you share that? And let's dive into some of those.
Yeah, most people, Bryon, what they want to know is, how do I get more listing leads? Like I know I should be doing more listings. And by the way, before we get into that, let me just say that there was a research project done. It was concluded and put out in 2003. It was the biggest research project ever done in real estate, of all the different brokerages, the top real estate agents in America. And what they found in that research project was that you can work 3 listings in the same amount of time as 1 buyer. So from an economy of time standpoint, I knew you could do 30 buyers or 10 listings and make the same amount of money, time wise. So that's the first thing is mindset. Obviously, getting into the right mindset that you can and should be doing listings no matter what you think, building up that confidence. And then the question comes, well, how in the world do I even get listing leads? And there's 3 buckets where all the listing leads that you ever need are going to come from, and it doesn't have to cost you money. You could do I did over 100 deals a year for 10 years in a row without paying for leads. Never paid for leads. Now, when you want to start doing bigger numbers, then you might have to start getting into, we've got agents that are doing 200, 300, 400 deals a year. But just the agent that's like, hey, I just want to feed my family really good. You don't have to buy leads. And those 3 buckets are your sphere of influence, bucket number 1, your geographic farm, bucket number 2, and your niche, as we say in Texas. In other states, they say niche, your specialty.
Yeah. So let's dive in there. So when you and I were talking, I was actually surprised at how you work your sphere of influence. In fact, you said to me, it doesn't sound like much. And what I said to you, well, is more than most realtors do for their sphere of influence. You want to share your 18 touches that you do?
Yeah. And, it's interesting because there's always a debate about how many times should I touch people, all that. What I found in my business, and I've done everything from the 33 touch on to different type of systems. 18 touches is good enough. I mean, that's touching them every 3 weeks. So what I do is I do 12 electronic newsletters. They go through email, and then I do 2 phone calls to my top 200 only. Okay, 2 phone calls, and then 4 postcards, and those are sent every quarter as the seasons change. And that's pretty much that's it. It's 18 touches, and if you do that, people will not forget that you're in the business and that you're still looking for business. That's the key. Because we know, according to NAR, that 86% of sellers say they would use their agent again, but less than 11% actually do. And it's only because we're not staying in touch.
That is our fault completely. And so, speaking of not staying in touch, you had a great script. It was an apology script for those of us who maybe haven't knocked the dust off of our sphere of influence database in a hot minute. Can you share that script?
Yeah, so easy. And, I like the easy button, Bryon. I like things to be KISS, keep it simple, sweetheart. Super simple is what I say. And so all I do is, like, if you haven't reached out to your SOI in a while, then it's time for the apology call. And the apology call is very simple. It's like, hey, Bryon, it's Knolly here. Hey, man, first, before anything, I just want to apologize, because I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to pick up the phone and call you, and something got in the way. I got busy, but I just saw on Facebook today that you guys got a new kitten in the house, and that your daughter just went off to college, and I thought, this is the day I'm gonna call Bryon. So I apologize for not calling you in the past. That's it. It takes about 20 seconds to do the apology, and you know what? Well, I don't want to put the words in your mouth, Bryon, but they always say, Knolly, it's no problem. How have you been? Boom, I'm forgiven. And now I have a fresh, clean slate. By the way, what I like to do, Bryon, to set this up is I like to let them know that that I'm going to be, I'll say something like, hey, Bryon, just so we don't fall out of touch in the future, I want to get, would it offend you if I just reach out to you, maybe every 6 months? Would that offend you? And they're going to be like, no, I'd love to hear from you. Yeah. All right. So now you just got their permission. Okay. And you also got their expectation. So now they're expecting to hear from you every 6 months. So it's not weird when you go on that routine. When I talk to them, Bryon, the script is very simple. I just let them talk about their favorite subject in the world, which is themselves. So I'm like, hey, Bryon, tell me all about what you've been up to. And then Bryon's going to start telling me this and that and that. And eventually, as Homo sapiens, the way we are as human beings, the conversation is going to be like, it's going to feel awkward. Like they're just telling me everything. And they're like, well, hold on. I want to hear about you. What's going on in your life? And then I'll share a few things that are going on with me. And then I'll bring up the fact that I have a big problem. I'll say, hey, Bryon, by the way, since you mentioned it, how's business and all? Business is going well, but I got to tell you, man, I've got a real big problem right now. Maybe you could even help me with my problem.
What's that problem, Knolly? Are you okay?
My problem, Bryon, right now is inventory. Oh. I don't have enough. I need more. In fact, I'm looking to help 3 families before the end of next month. 3 families. I got to help these people. Bryon, who do you know that might be looking to either buy or sell their home right now? Okay. Like and it doesn't matter what you say, Bryon. You could be like, well, I don't know anybody. But now you're in the mode of, well, man, I got to help Knolly. That's my boy. I got to help him out, and so your reticular activator is up, and you're thinking about, and then that's going to be the same conversation we have 6 months from now. It's going to be very similar, except different things that we discuss, but I'm still going to have a big problem. And by the way, I have that big problem no matter how many listings I have in inventory.
Isn't it always a problem? There's never enough. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. All right. So I want to switch gears because you mentioned geographic farming, which is one of my favorites, right? If you don't have a geographic farm, man, that is just such an opportunity. It is an opportunity for you to dominate an area and be really smart about complementary lead gen sources all at once. So now, how do you work a farm?
So when you think about a farm, a geographic farm, a lot of times, Bryon, I've heard agents that I've coached, when they first come to me, they're like, I tried farming, it didn't work. And I'm like, well, what did you do? Well, I sent out postcards. Okay, well, if you can imagine the military trying to take a town, first of all, they're not going to try to take it. They're going to take it. They're like, hey, by noon tomorrow, we're going to have this town. And they come up with a multi-tiered strategy. So they might be having airstrikes. They might be coming from land, sea. We're going to come from every angle we can in order to basically overwhelm the enemy, if you will. Now, when you think about farming, what I like to say is it should be about 1,000 houses. Okay, so that should have about a 7% turn. Okay, so think about this for a minute. If there's a 7% turn of 1,000 houses, that means about 70 homes a year will sell in that area. Okay, your goal should be to have a 20% market share. So when you think about it, that's taking 14 listings from that particular close-knit area per year. That's not bad, especially from the fact that farming it doesn't cost you any money at all if you do it the way I teach. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of farming. But I like to do not just the postcards, which I like to do those every other month. I'll send a postcard through Every Door Direct Mail. It's 20 cents a house. That's $200 for 1,000 homes. I go to Got Print to do all my printing. They're like $15 for 1,000 postcards, and they'll mail them for me. So all told, I'm out about $250 for that mailing. And then I get 4 trades, and I sell advertising space on the back of my postcard. So it might be, go ahead, Bryon.
No, I love that you're sharing this, because you shared this with me the other day. You're on the front, but you put some of your trusted vendor partners.
They don't get the whole back now. They get half of the back.
Okay.
But you think about it, a painter, maybe a roofer, maybe it could be a landscaper and a handyman. Okay. So with my painter, for example, I'm like, man, how would you like to go to 1,000 houses in that neighborhood? You know which neighborhood I'm talking about. Yeah, that one. How would you like to get some of the paint jobs in that neighborhood? And they're like, well, how could I? Well, you can piggyback with me. I'm already present in that neighborhood, and it's just $75. $75. Now I know how much you charge for a paint job. I know you're gonna make some good money on that. So you just get 4 trades to partner with you, and you spend $0 on your. I've never paid for a postcard campaign. Now the other thing that you want to think about is you just want to think about, I'm running for mayor of this area, not a huge area, just a 1,000 home area. You're the mayor of that area. So anything you can do within that particular area. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I used to do outside my farm is they would have little, not big billboards, but little billboards that were in like right outside the community when people would pull in. And those were pretty cheap. I mean, $300 a month, for that. You want to be on the PTA, you want to serve if you can get involved in HOAs, get involved in community things, make sure you have a YouTube channel that's dedicated to that farm. And you're actually out shooting video 2 or 3 times a week or it can be one day dedicated to this, of the new doctor's office that just came in town, or the new barbecue joint, or the new food truck park, all kinds of things that are happening in that farm specific. Have a Facebook page dedicated specifically to that geo farm. I mean, you're basically running for mayor of that area. That's what it looks like. And by the way, to throw on the back of that, you're no longer doing open houses, you're doing events. Okay, so now we have muffins and mimosas. We have a happy hour. We've got a pizza party. We've got, we have a wine tasting that's happening and we just happen to be hosting the wine tasting in that house. Okay, that makes it really fun.
Yeah, and I love that approach to it. Doing the open house, but calling it an event and treating it like an event.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. So I don't like shrimp. I like cocktail sauce. For me, shrimp is a delivery system for cocktail sauce, right?
Gotcha.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Open houses are not the event, right?
Not at all.
They are a delivery system for circle prospecting.
That's right.
For all the other marketing that you can do around it, right?
Absolutely.
And those of you who are a little like, what do I do when I go to a door? If you're inviting somebody for muffins and mimosas, or wine and cheese, or whatever it is that you're doing as part of your open house event, man, that's an easy conversation. Come on over, check out your neighbor's property, come join us. And oh, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Great opportunity to get in there. And I love that approach to it.
And,
All right,
and of course, because you said that, we've got to go around to all the neighbors and let them know that 1 hour before the event starts, they're going to have a private tour. And it's like, hey, I know you've always wanted to see that house. Guess what? You get to have a private tour, and we're going to have Chinese food, and we're going to have wine tasting. And how do we get the Chinese food? I go to a Chinese restaurant that's maybe a half a mile away, and I say, hey, I'm doing a big event in this neighborhood. I need a pan of your best stir fry. I'm not going to pay you for it, but I'm going to give a sample to everyone that comes, to the neighbors that come. And by the way, while you're at it, I want some buy one, get one free coupons, just 10 of them. And then I tell the neighbors, I say, hey, by the way, the first 10 people that get there, I'm going to go ahead and take care of your dinner. I'm going to get you a free dinner at such and such, Chinese restaurant. So you don't have to pay for any of this stuff. The wine is provided by the title company or a mortgage lender. I mean, all this stuff can be paid for by other people, and you do it absolutely free, but you're the rock star. Then when 15 or 20 neighbors come over and it's just them talking amongst themselves, they're like, well, how can I get an event at my house? No problem. Just hire me. Here's my information.
You do it. Yeah, that's how you do it. All right, Knolly, thank you so much. Hey, by the way, Knolly's program, 10 listings a month, seller lead gen bootcamp with EXP Elevate Coaching. We're going to schedule the next round soon. You can go pre-register if you want, but we'll have Knolly on there. 27 different seller lead gen sources he covers in there, and all of them are either free or very low cost because of strategies like that. Knolly, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us. We really appreciate. Guys, go out there, take your unfair share of listings today. Use some of these strategies and get after it. Knolly, thank you so
Bryon.
much.
Appreciate it. Bro.
See you, man. Russ, back over to you, my friend.
All right, dude. I love that guy. I really do.
He is such a rock star.
It's usable stuff everybody can do. And by the way, probably should be doing. It's the easy way to do it, really. I mean, you're building relationships and becoming known in a market. I mean, it's the simplest thing in the world, and the way he applies it is just brilliant.
That's exactly right. Well, hey, I'll be back next week with my friend Julie Nelson. We'll be talking more about this. So see you next time, buddy.
All right. See you, Bryon. Cool. All right. There you go. Bryon Ellington, Knolly Williams. Amazing stuff as always. If you guys don't get involved with Knolly stuff, just grab it, run it. By the way, the guy wrote a book also. Pretty cool book. So grab a copy of his book. Interesting dude. Great story. All right. So we have Solution of the Month with EXP. Solution of the Month is something we're promoting to let you guys know. People are like, what does EXP have? Well, Solution of the Month is to let you guys know what EXP has in our repertoire. So with that being said, I've got Ellie from Seller Shield that's going to join me. Hey, Ellie, how are you?
Hello, Russ. Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great. So you're with Seller Shield. So talk to me. What is it? What is the deal with Seller Shield?
Yes. So we were actually founded to solve two unfairnesses in the industry. First, that sellers are the only ones in a real estate transaction without protection. So you guys have E&O insurance, buyers have insurance, but sellers are the only ones that don't have any protection. And then secondly, we found that 95% of post-sale lawsuits and disputes actually come from a disclosure issue. So we created our, where'd the slide go? Perfect, there we go. We created two different products. First is our gold standard disclosure platform, which basically just helps the seller fill out their disclosure form so they're at less risk of getting sued post-closing. So we've taken the same, yes, Russ?
Good.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. That's good.
Yes, it's very good. Yeah. So we've taken the same state forms you guys already use, but then digitized it and then added expert tips, definitions, examples, expandable fields for the seller to put in detailed responses. There's interactive videos on there. And it basically is just to help the seller complete a more thorough disclosure, and so that the agent is actually separated from the disclosure platform and actually reduces the agent's liability as well. Fantastic. And our tool is completely free, so kind of a no-brainer, I think.
Wow, I like that a lot.
Yes, yeah. And then we also have our home sale legal protection as well, which basically is that insurance for a home seller. We will hire them a local expert real estate attorney if a dispute arises post-closing, and support them from start to finish and cover up to $75,000 of their legal fees. The seller is able to purchase this through our disclosure platform. Again, they can use the disclosure platform completely for free, and it just reduces their risk of any issues post-closing. You can also give this to the buyer and tell them, hey, the seller completed a more thorough disclosure because they use Seller Shield. So the buyer has peace of mind as well.
Love that. And how do we find this? Where's this found?
You can go to our co-branded website, sellershield.com/exp, and see testimonials and watch videos and log in and set up a free account and start using it.
Absolutely fantastic. So this is to protect the agent from liability, to protect the sellers from liability, to give them better clarity on what we're doing. And all this NAR stuff is about getting more clear. So this is probably helpful just to be more clear with our sellers too. And then of course, then you have protection post-closing also. So somebody comes back and goes, you didn't tell me that was that. And nobody saw it, including the inspector, but all of a sudden we hid it on purpose, right? So
yes.
Protects from that too.
Yes, correct.
Good.
And again, it's free. The tool is free, but the protection is optional for the seller to purchase. And it's pretty low price as well. So
fantastic.
If you want to check it out, look at our website, sellershield.com/exp.
Okay, fantastic. Ellie, that was brilliant. I love it. Great product, great tool. I'm glad we have access to that for the EXP agent. So thank you very much today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Great to see you. All right, there you go. Seller Shield. You guys don't have that in your business, do it. The first part's free, which is great. And if the seller wants additional protection, small cost for that, you can add on to it if they want to, but use the free part to start off with and go from there. All right, so with that being said, EXP had a really interesting announcement in Lisbon just 3 days ago. They're excited to introduce you to our expansion of the Global Agent Referral Program, which is not a new platform, but it's a significant enhancement to the existing referral tool, the Agent Referral Portal. This platform has been instrumental in streamlining the domestic referral process. By the way, guys, I've used this 3 times in the last 6 months. It is now equipped to connect you with EXP agents internationally across all 24 markets. So international access now. This service is very, very simple and straightforward. Use the same link as before, Global Agent Referral Platform, or log into the appropriate tile on your Okta dashboard. The platform continues to offer user-friendly interface and seamless search functionality, enabling you to select a preferred referral partner from any of our international markets, complete with necessary agreements, finalize partnerships, and all of that stuff done within seconds. It's super easy, guys. Comprehensive training guides with video tutorials are available in 14 languages. Please email your transactions team for assistance if you get stuck on anything. We remain focused on building industry-leading resources for our agents and are eager to see how you leverage these enhancements to grow your network and your business. All right, and the next thing up is what's trending in KGCI. Today, KGCI is dialed in on some recent updates to the NAR settlement. It's a great compliment to what Holly and Lauren were discussing earlier on today's show. So if you're looking for more that's happening today on KGCI Radio, check it out this week. Next week, KGCI Radio is kicking off on Monday with the mindset and motivation you need to thrive in your business. And we'll be offering other Friday-focused stuff for new agents and those that need to refresh their business. So make sure you tune into KGCI Radio this week. All right, there's our show for the week. If you could, please hit your NPS score. I get the QR code here. Pull out your phone. Give us an NPS rating today. Let us know how we did today. Give us a rating, a scale of 1 to 10. Let us know how we did. And by the way, add a comment in there. We read every one of these on Monday and go over them, making sure we're giving you guys what you need. NPS scores have been through the roof in the first quarter this year. So we're super thrilled that we're delivering value to you guys and appreciate your feedback with the QR code. All right. That is all we have for this week. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Stay tuned for iConversations coming up next. See you next week.